Ignorance. We're Scotting all of our ignorance. Is this thing? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Spoilers in the show. Watch out for them.
We can't use this. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ignorance Is This, a podcast about a different way of viewing cinema with little to no knowledge about it beforehand. My name is Scott Martin, and sitting opposite me is the man with the beauty on the outside but the beast on the inside, Oliver Deer.
Oh, love my tagline this week. Scott Stand-Up Comedy Martin.
I specifically said before the show to not mention this.
I didn't say you were standing up. I just said you're into stand-up comedy.
Oh, okay.
But now you're revealed as a person who's standing up to try and feel more powerful.
If I sit back down in my chair, will I be a sit-down comedian?
Oh boy, I bet those jokes are funny.
Hey guys, you can check my my podcast, my stand-up album on Spotify. Nah, don't.
It's called Scott Martin, Wild and Untamed. Right, how's your little week been?
My week's been way good.
Yep, we got to go do the cinema together this week, finally, after being separated.
Back at it again, the two boys. The two country boys are back in the big old city.
Yep.
We're taking the world by storm, but mostly just the Belmont area.
Yep. We're here with Babe the pig. We're in the city.
Oh.
George Miller's here. We've got lots of things to talk about today. We're going to discuss Dunkirk, Christopher Nolan's new film about war.
Yep.
And other things that relate to that. And we're going to start the show with, because you're an angry boy.
I can see myself and the world.
I can see you from here. I can see your little mad face. What is grinding your gears? What is pinching your cheek? What's cracking your iPhone? What brand of tag is wiggling at the back of your shirt? What cockroach has been caught in your energy drink and then you've drunk? That's happened to me.
Has it really?
Yeah.
A cockroach specifically, or just some kind of insect?
It was a dead cockroach in my energy drink.
How did it get there?
I left it outside overnight.
So it's your fault.
Yeah, and then I went to drink it the next day thinking, oh, well, I really like energy drink.
That raises more questions. Why are you drinking all flat, overnight, opened energy drink?
I don't know. I thought it would be good. And it had a cockroach in it, a dead cockroach, and it went into my mouth.
The whole thing, or did it just press up against your lips?
It pressed up against my lips and a little bit into my lips. And then I definitely washed my mouth out with toothbrush and stuff.
What are we talking about?
Anyway, what is your pet peeve for this week regarding movies?
All right, let's do a pet peeve super early.
Yeah.
Morally. World's worst dog.
It's time for pet peeves.
I hate it when there's a movie or a TV show.
Okay.
I just hate it.
Oh, yeah, genuinely.
I hate it when it features a war, but then the main character passes out just as it's like getting really intense.
Oh, okay.
And then they wake up, and then a minor character uses exposition to be like, "Yeah, we did it. We won." You know?
Yeah.
The thing that I was watching that this actually happened in is television royalty juggernaut Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
In season 1, Peter Dinklage's character gets like knocked out just as the big stuff was happening, and I was thinking, well, that's money constraint.
Yeah.
But
money constraints.
that won't happen now, will it? They'd have so much money.
Yeah, that's true.
But this happens in like film as well.
Does it?
Well, I don't know.
Name one.
No.
When you said that, I think, yeah, I can think of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I don't know
either, but like...
when else it happened? Yeah, I know they did it in season 1 and season 2, actually. And I know it was a war, it was a battle that was covered in the book, but in the TV show, it literally, he gets knocked out. And then in season 2, they're riding to war, and then it fades to black. And then it comes back up, and there's dead bodies everywhere. It's things like that that really take you out of the show, though, I guess.
When I didn't hear any of that because I was silently writing in character knocked out film war into Google. I should have done more research on this.
You have had an epic, may I say, fuck up today, and you have not researched this one. Give us another one. The audience deserves another one.
Yeah.
Give us another little pet peeve.
I'm more than happy to do another one, but the reason why I chose this one was because We're talking about Dunkirk today.
Yeah.
And clearly this is a movie where that did not happen, but there was a character at the end that just woke up from like a nap,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like one
Okay.
of the last scenes. Spoiler alert, I guess, but it's not. But like he's just like one dude, and he just like wakes up and the beach is empty. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was like,
Who's
this-
that lad? Yeah.
I don't know. This could have been like a movie from his perspective.
Yeah. Right.
Could have been the same Peter Dinklage moment from Game of Thrones.
Yeah. From his perspective, he was like, "Oh, it's that damn pet peeve where I've fallen asleep during the war."
Oh, this happens all the time, especially in season 1 and 2 of Game of Thrones. All right, let's have a look through my many lists of pet peeves here.
Yeah.
Now last week we spoke very briefly about your favorite TV show of all time, Dan Schneider's iCarly. And this is another pet peeve present in iCarly.
Okay.
It's not so much of a pet peeve, just like I understand why it happens, but I see it more so than I should because it's the same joke being used over and over by different shows.
Mm-hmm.
But when a character is holding a computer
Yeah.
and instead of like the Apple logo as like a MacBook, they change it into a pear.
Yeah.
And there's like a bite taken out of the pear. They're like, hey, look, check out my pear phone or
Yeah.
my pear book.
Oh, I do love a bit of fake product placement to get around that issue.
I was looking up this pet peeve last week because I was going to use it,
Yeah.
but I couldn't find examples of it changing to a pear rather than iCarly.
Yeah, I think iCarly has the pair down packed. I don't think another company has just outright changed it to a pair.
But there was like a list on like TV Tropes website
Oh, okay.
changing it to like using stickers to cover up over the top of it.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's literally just like it's like a female like teenager character that would just like plaster stickers all over the front of it so it
Yeah.
covers it up completely.
Yeah.
It's just literally like here's a sticker of Harry Styles put directly over the top of the Apple logo.
Right.
It's like it brings more attention to it to me. I notice it every time.
Yeah, they cover it up with a bit of set design. I know one of the episodes of Black Mirror where the teen boy has a laptop, his thing is just plastered with memes and
I also don't like it
culture.
when it's been changed to like they get like a sticker that's the exact like color of the top of a MacBook, so it's completely barren rather than stickers all over it.
Oh, okay.
They just don't have the logo there because they just put something over the top of it.
Yeah.
And like that looks more weird and more attention's going to it. But I
And-
guess, but then you're thinking about Apple, so is that more of is that product placement technically because you're getting your audience to think about it?
Yeah. Another
knows,
really
who
one
cares?
that takes you out of it is search engines. When characters go
Yeah.
to like Google and it's not Google, it's like find.com
Yeah.
or searchme.com.
Do you know an example? Here we go. Put you on the spot for
Oh,
once.
fuck.
Do you know an example of when it's not Google but it is like another
Oh
company?
yeah, Bing.
Yeah.
Like Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man.
That
with
is
Bing.
the most.
So bad.
Let's talk about Spider-Man some more. Fucking Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man series had so many things wrong with it, but the most wrong thing was a teenage boy using Bing search rather than Google search.
Yeah, I think I've seen Bing in a couple of things, like recent,
Yeah.
in just TV shows or something.
Bing, heed us. We are pop culture juggernauts. Ollie and I at Ignorance is this.
Yeah.
You will never be close to what Google is.
Yeah.
Give up, please. Stop giving studios your money. It's not worth it. People laugh at your search
Yeah,
engine.
Bing. I swear to God, I've heard someone say Bing in a TV show. Like,
Have you ever heard someone use the word Bing in real life?
no.
No.
You know. I've heard people try to do it because they want to be anti-establishment and not use Google, but you're making a foolery of yourself by actually just saying something like Bing it or ask Jeeves it or
Let's see what Jeeves has to say.
yeah.
Let's ask him. I think there's like a good bit in one of the more recent episodes of The Simpsons. It's when they go to the future.
Yeah.
Google has like taken over the whole world and it's like a big like evil corporation.
Okay.
And Lisa's standing in it like it's Professor X's like palace in the X-Men movies. You know how he's like one big like dome room and he sits in the middle of it? It's like that, and Lisa says something like, Google, you may have been an evil corporation and has taken over the world, but you're still a damn fine search engine. Like no matter what, they will never do anything wrong enough that people will change over to Bing, I think.
Do you know what a product placement sort of thing. And this is where they did have product placement. But like, I didn't even realize it was product placement. I thought they were making fun of it the whole time. Is in Community when Shirley tries to open a sandwich shop, and then the community colleges organizes a Subway to take it over, and then they have a whole like arc about how Subway pretty much takes over the school, and a character is actually he has to change his name to Subway legally, and like the Britta falls in love with him. And she's like, no, Subway, don't go. Like, and it's sort of funny because his name is Subway, and it's silly.
But do you like that or not like that?
Like, I didn't necessarily think it was super funny. I guess it was, like, quirky in a way. But I didn't realize until recently, just thinking back on it, like, oh, they actually would have had to pay Subway, or Subway would have paid them a lot of money to do that. I did not realize for a second that they just thought of that. That they just thought to use Subways like as a plot.
Yeah.
I think, oh, there was money changing hands there.
See, for me, it was the opposite. I spent like those couple of episodes like kind of like rolling my eyes, being like, wow, what a sellout to a corporation like Subway. But then again, they did do something different with it, which is interesting.
They sort of made Subway an antagonist in a way. So... It was interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's an example. I think because I imagine Community as this above, like...
Streets ahead?
Yeah, it's streets ahead of like corporatization and selling out. But yeah, I guess not. Hello,
Holy.
Scott. I've had a little bit of a thought this week, and I thought we'll do it now instead of the usually early slot it takes in the show.
Guys, instead of us thinking of new ideas for different segments, what we're going to do instead is just rearrange them. Pet Peeves comes first, baby.
Yeah, the fans will be like, fans quotation marks, fans will be like, what? They had Pet Peeves at the start instead of the usual end slot it takes?
Not my podcast. Things have changed too much. Tell us your thought. What you thinking?
You were just talking about how product placement takes you out of a movie, or like the absence of product placement because they had to change it to do copyright.
Yep.
I wanted to talk about actors that can take you out of a movie because you know who they are. So this is now two instances of this have happened since last week when we did the podcast, and I actually thought of it then for some reason. But two instances have happened since. The first was Game of Thrones spoiler. The first episode of season 7 aired, and Ed Sheeran had a small cameo. I guess the way I would describe initially seeing him, and I knew he was going to be in the season. I knew it was announced that he would be in like a small cameo role. The way I would describe it is like seeing an iPhone in Game of Thrones.
Oh, it is so not.
Oh, I know. Like in hindsight, I don't think so. I don't think so in hindsight. I think if I watch it again, it's fine.
Yeah,
but when I first saw him...
hindsight is 2020, am I right?
When I first saw him, I was just a bit like, ooh, modern day in my Game of Thrones. Not my Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
There was fan backlash.
The second you hear his voice, you are taken out of it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Especially the piece of dialogue I'm sure that you want to rant about.
Oh, his dialogue
says.
Was... Arya asked, what is that song? And he turns not quite directly into the camera lens, but he sort of turns and said, it's a new one. And
it's new.
Yeah. And then I was waiting for the Twitter drop. Check out my new album, my new song.
Link to Spotify, link to Tidal, link to Apple Music.
If that had happened, I definitely would have been like, this is an iPhone in Game of Thrones moment.
Yeah, sure.
But no, in hindsight, it's fine because it sort of it was actually a good scene, I thought. It was a very un-Game of Thrones-like scene because the group of boys there is so wholesome. They're just talking around a campfire and no one's talking about anything rapey or murdery or anything super bad.
Yeah.
Which is
nothing starring Jonah Hill or Michael Cera.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not those comedy boys. I wanted to talk about not just those, but also just other actors that might appear in things that just take you out. The second example, of course, was Harry Styles was in the Dunkirk movie, and we'll discuss that in a sec. But like, what are some other actors in Hollywood where you see them, and maybe they actually are professional actors, unlike Ed Sheeran or Harry Styles, but that you know them too well?
Yeah.
and you just can't get into it? Do you have an example?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Have you seen Anchorman?
Yeah.
Have you seen Anchorman 2?
Yep.
You know who I'm about to mention?
Yeah.
I didn't know that Kanye West made a guest appearance in Anchorman 2 until I saw it, and clearly taken out of the immersion of it just because he's my favorite artist or human being. See, that was used effectively in a way that this scene is so over the top and silly, where all the news reporters and everyone are battling each other in a public park, using actual weapons, and it's just completely ridiculous. It worked in context of that film, whereas Ed Sheeran is supposed to be so grounded in reality, but then again, no, you're not. This is a world of dragons.
Well, it's a world of dragons, but it is a drama at the same time. My counterexample to other actors would be like that comedy actors are sort of okay to have like in a comedy film, it's okay to have these celebrity cameos because it's not so much super serious. But when you see a comedy actor in a serious film, I feel like sometimes it can draw you out a bit for a second, maybe not for the whole thing. Like if you see a Seth Rogen or a Jonah Hill in a super serious film, I think initially
Moneyball. And I just spent that whole time thinking, what was that frigging movie with Jonah Hill, and people actually liked it. Yeah, Moneyball, that's right.
Like Seth Rogen was in, I want to say American Hustle. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he was.
I'm not sure.
He was in a serious one, but like you sort of are drawn out for a sec. But if they're a good enough actor, you forget about it over time. Like Jonah Hill, actually, he did well.
Yeah,
I would say. And so comedy actors in serious dramas can sometimes bring it out, and I feel that's because comedy actors, you know a lot about them in real life. You learn about them a lot on interviews and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Whereas some, like, you can name a lot of serious actors you don't know a lot about, and you can buy them more as their actor in the film.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy would be an example. You don't know much about Tom Hardy, so you can buy him in a film more easily.
Yep.
How about the example of Johnny Depp or Tom Cruise? Huge names, and you know about them personally. So when you see them in movies, you're a bit like Johnny Depp's character, or hey, look, there goes Johnny Depp, or hey, look, there goes Tom Cruise. You don't think, hey, look, there goes Ethan Hawke from Mission Impossible, even though you maybe once did, but now Tom Cruise is in the media a lot, so you know a lot about him.
Peter Dinklage is someone like that. You can't see Peter Dinklage on screen and not think of Tyrion or think of Peter Dinklage, the actor.
Yeah. I'll chuck you a quote from Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey's probably that kind of person as well.
So you reckon when you see Kevin Spacey, you're like, there's Kevin Spacey?
Yeah, just because I love him so much.
That's the thing. I think that too.
but he's not a Tom Cruise.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's right down the middle, but for us as big fans.
Yes. Like, if you don't know who he is, you will buy him. Here's a quote from him. Just a little article here. Kevin Spacey has always kept the details of his private life closely guarded, as he explains in this interview. It's not that I want to create some bullshit mystique by maintaining a silence about my personal life. It is just that the less you know about me, the easier it is to convince you that I am the character on screen.
Cool.
It allows an audience to come into the movie theater and believe I am that person.
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
And that makes complete sense. As an actor, you should be doing that. Yeah. Wow. Very insightful, Mr. Space.
I'll just chuck you some quick Harry Potter characters. So
characters or actors?
Actors. So when you see a Harry Potter character or actor, you think, there's Ron Weasley, there's Draco Malfoy.
Yep. That's the third season of The Flash has been out for a year now, and they had Tom Felton in as a series regular, and I'm pretty sure in episode 2 they used the words Philosopher's Stone, and I was like, oh come on, just too on the nose here.
The one I think
just give him a cloak that's like got some green on it somewhere, and let him wear that, and let it be a little nod. Don't use the words Philosopher's Stone. It's too much.
The one I think who is breaking the mold is Daniel Radcliffe, because he's really trying hard to break the typecast and doing a lot of things that aren't like Harry Potter at all.
Yeah.
Horns. Oh, yeah, Horns. He's a bit of an ass. Swiss Army Man. He's a corpse.
He uses his ass a lot in that.
He's quite a dumb corpse too. It's It's quite humorous.
Ericus,
What?
that Broadway stage show that he did
yep.
with the horses.
Yep.
And then he did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, where is a musical.
Yep.
Which he's never shown any. Well, I mean, I don't know if every single movie that he's been in, but I don't think he'd ever shown any like musical talent before then. So that was a big step.
The first one I saw with him after Harry Potter was The Woman in Black.
I didn't see that because that looked scary.
That one was a bit, because it was like the first or second movie he'd done after Harry Potter. You are a bit like, use your magic, Harry. Get out of this situation.
Use the Force, Harry.
Use the Force. But yeah, after that, I think he really does try to break the mold, and he doesn't choose like blockbusters. He chooses random stuff so that he doesn't have to be typecast as this boy wizard.
But then again, he was in that Now You See Me Too, in which he plays a magician.
Yes.
Which is very similar to a wizard. But he's a villain, which is the opposite of Harry Potter.
He starred in a movie called, I want to say, it's about neo-Nazis. It's called...
Is that what it's called?
It starts with an I in Insidious.
Yeah, Inglourious Bastards. I'm pretty sure that's about Nazis.
You'll look it up, I'm sure.
Sure, let me look it up right now.
But it's about neo-Nazis, and that's the first one where I was watching him as the main lead, and halfway through I would just forget he was Daniel Radcliffe. Imperium, right. Even though at the start I'm like, there's my boy, there's Daniel, there's Harry Potter. Halfway through I was like, oh, I actually forgot he's just Daniel Radcliffe for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know, he did a good job.
Is that quite good though?
It is quite good.
He also did that movie, What If, which is a romantic comedy, like really lighthearted thing.
Yep.
He's done everything. What a good boy.
He's doing a lot of things. Yep.
No offense, Ollie, but we're 25 minutes in. We should start talking about what
yes, and that leads us to Harry Styles in the new movie Dunkirk by Christopher Nolan. Let's begin, weirdly. What did you think of Harry Styles?
Harry Styles was better than I was expecting.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean that I was going in with low expectations. I trust Nolan.
Yep.
I think that the second that they cast him and people were like disliking the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
It had like a bad ratio because
really?
people were saying like, I can't believe you put Styles in just to like bring in some extra fans and bring in some extra money. No, I had full faith that he knew what he was doing, and it actually managed to pay off, didn't it?
Yep.
I thought he was quite good. He was given actual emotional scenes with dialogue. He probably had one of the maybe like the third most dialogue heavy character in the whole film because no one else really spoke.
Yeah, it was a very non-dialogue heavy movie.
And he was good. He was a bit of an asshole at one point, like raising his voice and pointing at people and blah, blah, blah. Really stressful moment. And he pulled it off, which I'm proud of him.
He did really well. And I'm
a big Harry Styles
initially,
fan.
because a lot of people weren't talking, I was wondering, like, is he just not going to talk? Is he just going to be this character who is just on screen?
Yeah.
And is that how they're hiding it? Is that how they're hiding his terrible acting? Initially, I was like, there's Harry Styles. I've been waiting for him. But eventually, I found it good. I found it good that they put him in because there's a lot of handheld, and it gets very dark sometimes. And it's so good that I could pick out a face and be like, "There's Harry. Okay, cool. There's a recognizable face." Because
cool.
Out of the main three boys or the soldiers, they weren't any recognizable actors besides Harry Styles.
Yeah,
They
and
were
even
unknowns.
one of the guys looked quite like Harry Styles. Like I thought in like the opening scene, I was like, wow, they got Styles in straight away.
I know, yeah, I saw that and I thought that looks like Styles, but also not.
Yeah,
but I'm wondering how good the makeup is.
But thoughts about the movie now, especially since you've watched the trailers.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think of the trailers?
I really enjoyed the trailers before the film.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting more and more hype about the film as days passed. I knew that I'm a Nolan fan. I was excited for it, and the trailers didn't spoil too much. It was no Spider-Man situation. I was ready.
Yeah.
And then watching the movie, and then since refamiliarizing myself with the trailers for the sake of this podcast, I realized that you couldn't really do wrong with the trailers here.
Okay.
I said to you before the show, I've got a hot take about the trailers.
Yeah.
My hot take is there's pretty much nothing you could do to get a bad trailer out of this because there's not much you can really spoil. In terms of the film, there's like maybe two things that are worth spoiling.
Yeah.
There's and I'm going to say them, there's the the boy, the teenage boy dying on the ship that's heading to Dunkirk.
Yeah.
With Cillian Murphy in the boat with him.
Yep.
And the fact that Harry Styles and the other boy that looks like Harry Styles lives, and people are celebrating their aliveness at the end of the film.
Yeah.
but there's like 2 hours worth of just bang bang shooting. There's some bullets, there's some bombs, there's some boats, and there's some planes, and there's lots of people, lots of extras.
Yeah.
And you can just cut that in any way or shape or form, and you're going to get okay, this movie is cinematic, this movie is loud, this movie is, like, gritty, and there's not much that you could really, like, accidentally say too much of, unless if you show those two shots, which they didn't do, clearly, because that would ruin everything.
Yeah.
But that's, like, a 1%, like, thing of the entire movie that's actually worth spoiling. The rest is just the same kind of thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Here's a bomb dropping down on this thing.
Yeah.
They're on a boat. 20 seconds later, there's more bombs going on their boat. Now they're off the boat. They're swimming in the water.
Yeah.
They're underwater.
A lot of different boats, a lot of different planes.
Yeah, it was just it was exhausting.
It was an exhausting movie to
Yeah.
watch. It was from start to finish incredibly intense.
Yep.
There was, I would say, never downtime until the very end.
No, it's not fun at all. It's not a popcorn movie.
No.
You know?
You gotta watch this, yeah, just intensely. And I would say, like, with the trailers, it's hard enough to piece together some of the plot in the movie,
Exactly.
let alone piece together in the trailer, because the movie is split into 3 storylines, and they're set in different times, which makes it, sometimes you forget that. The first time is set a week, which starts a week prior to the end of the battle, I guess. So it's 1 week before the end of the battle. And that's set at the jetty, or at the pier, which is called the Mole, at the beach of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
The second storyline is a day before the end of the battle, is set at sea, by one of the civilians coming to rescue the soldiers from Dunkirk, and the final is an hour before the end of the battle, which is set in the air with Tom Hardy as a pilot.
Yes.
So yeah, it was. You did sometimes forget the chronological aspect of it, but it all worked together in the end, and it all melded together quite nicely.
Yeah.
But yeah, from the trailer, there was no something I really liked about the trailer was that you did not have a sense that not everything was happening chronologically.
Yeah.
There wasn't any sense of that. You just saw there were different aspects. And the first trailer was the best. It only had, as far as I can remember, it only had scenes from the Mole scene.
I think that's right as well. Yeah.
I'll call them the 3 soldiers, which included Harry Styles and the main guy and the German guy.
Yeah.
And they were the 3 main boys. Hot quick trivia thing. Are you aware that the main captain man, who was the major on the jetty,
The one with the blonde hair that looked a lot like John Watson from Sherlock?
Yep.
I spent the whole time being like, that looks like he could play John
Do
Watson's
you know
dad.
who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Professor Gilderoy Lockhart.
No, I was gonna say that's Martin Freeman's real life father.
Oh no. No, it's
That's Gilderoy.
yeah, Gilderoy Lockhart. Yeah.
Gilderoy Lockhart is one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite films. I'm surprised I didn't know that. I love
Yeah.
Chamber of Secret.
Yeah, he's a bit more chubby in this, I guess.
He
Or a
does
bit
look
more
so much like
butch.
John Watson.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, he was the commander, I guess.
yeah, that's a hot piece of hot, quick news
Yeah.
and hot trivia knowledge.
Yep. Yeah, I really liked the first trailer, and the second trailer, or the extended trailer, was a bit of a mess. I would say if anything is called the extended trailer, and you see that from now, Scott, don't watch it.
Oh,
Because
okay.
like a 5-minute long thing, or
But
maybe
I'm-
you can watch it. Yeah,
I'm deliberately trying to watch
yes.
that to get as
Yeah.
much content
But-
to
yeah.
spoil myself as possible. You know.
Okay, well, I would recommend to listeners that if you're going to watch any trailers at all, watch official trailers like 1 and 2. Don't watch anything called an extended trailer, which goes for maybe 5 minutes. If it's a 2-minute trailer, good.
Yep.
If it's a 5-minute trailer, avoid, because they throw in so much stuff, and sometimes they just repeat a lot of the shots.
Yeah.
Or they'll have this sort of arc in the story they're trying to hype, and then they will end that hype, and then they will start another sort of arc that they're going to explain.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. they're very messy. Those extended trailers.
What do you think about the use of sound in this?
Yeah,
Amazing?
amazing.
Disagree.
Oh, okay,
It was too loud.
okay. This is why.
Well, just because every time anything would happen, it would be too loud.
But do you think that's because we were sitting very close to
Yes.
speakers?
No, we were forced quite close to the screen.
Yeah.
And I get that it's supposed to simulate the horrors of war, how loud it can get, and how it's supposed to like vibrate you to your heart, that your chest is moving with the sound. But I just, every time that there would be a plane coming around, it's the most shrieking, loudest sounds of planes, and every time they just come back, I was just going, not again. which is, I guess, is good, but it was very loud.
It was very loud. I personally liked it because I felt like the Bay of Dunkirk, or the beach, just felt like hell. It was living hell for the soldiers. It was even partially living hell for the people watching it, because they had to endure these really loud bombs going off, really loud planes, really loud bullets firing, and especially there was one scene where they're in a ship that is beached, so it's really echoey, and when a bullet comes in, it's like this stinging snake of a...
It is literally piercing.
Really loud. Piercing, yeah.
That's a great example of that scene being like a really... It was kind of like Hitchcocky in the way that it's... Because he was quite against shock in films, like just like if they're just being like la-di-da-da-da, just walking down the street, and then suddenly there's a big explosion.
Right.
This was a great use of suspense, but at the same time as shock. Like it wasn't, because when you see suspense, it's usually like there's like an orchestra behind it, getting like higher and higher pitched with a violin, and then the action happened. This was a great example of there being like both of those things happening, where it was suspenseful because you think, shit, there's going to be another bullet going through that area of the boat happening any second now, but you don't quite know what it is, so the suspense is there. But then when it does go through, it's shock because you're still not expecting it at the same time.
Yeah.
But again, the sound.
An interesting thing about shock and suspense or the use of jump scares is that a good jump scare should be used early to make you fear something, and then doesn't need to be used again. So it first does it to frighten you, and then later, every time you see it or every time you hear it, that makes you scared. You don't need more jump scares.
Yeah.
So I felt with the bullet coming through the hull of the boat, it was like the first time you hear it, it's this surprise, and it really shakes you because, as you said, it's super loud, especially for us. It really shocks everyone. And then every time you see those holes in the bullet hole in the wall, you're like, don't happen again, don't happen again.
Yeah. And sometimes they wouldn't show it.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't show, and you're like, oh, now the tension's really building. So yeah, that's just a bit about the suspense. I do think this is because we were sitting very close, and I don't think it would have been as bad if we were sitting a bit back, because I've had word from people who were we're in a different cinema, probably in a higher position than we were, who actually like really enjoyed the sound.
Yeah.
I'll quote a recurring character in our show, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
Who didn't see it with us, but she said
she saw it with us in spirit. We saw it at the same hour, pretty much.
Yeah. Her quote is, "The whole movie was like Chris Nolan being like, I'm so good that my sound, movement, and cinematography are the real characters," because the characters didn't talk that much at all.
It's true. They were essentially nameless as well.
They were. Cillian Murphy.
Oh yeah. He was credited as
Shivering Soldier.
Yeah. That's right. But yeah, with Grace's point, with the sound being the characters, see, it kind of clashes with the fact that when there was characters speaking with dialogue, it was, I don't know if it was deliberately mixed in a way that it was really difficult to hear what they were saying. Did you find that?
Yeah, I definitely found that.
Every time there was a sentence that I understood from start to finish, I was like relieved. I was like, oh, I actually got to hear that.
It was very bassy, and I do wonder again if that was because we were sitting so close. Because when you're watching the trailer,
it sounds great.
You can hear everything they say.
That's so great. I wish I had that experience.
But here's another hot bit about the trailer.
Ooh. Hot trivia news right here.
The trailer is good in the aspect it does not reveal what the sound and feel like is in the actual movie. It has moments of silence and it has moments of tick tock, building suspense. It's its own building of suspense within the trailer.
Yeah.
In the movie, it is not like this. Sometimes it's silent when it's, down, and sometimes it's just tick tock and you can hear everything. In the movie, it's just like war is happening all around you. It is bang, 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 pew, 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 bomb, 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 and a constant soundtrack. I don't think there was ever a moment without soundtrack until the very last second when the character gets on the train, puts his pillow onto the side and falls asleep, and then it finally goes silent. It's the only time it's silent in the whole movie.
As you said before, there's the ticketing tock of a tick-tock clock.
Yeah.
Is it true that was throughout the whole film?
I reckon it was. Oh,
because I only noticed it as it stopped, but I didn't hear it come in. And I listen to sounds more than the average.
It was definitely
human.
there during the opening scene.
Okay, so maybe it was there the whole time then.
It's possible that during like the big battle scenes it wasn't there because they had other music going on.
It could have actually still been there. It was just drowned out.
There, yeah. One issue I had, because the plot was occasionally a little difficult to follow only because you were unaware of when exactly this was occurring.
Yep.
And one issue I have is when they were escaping, they were trapped in this fishing boat, and it eventually you were under the impression that Germans are outside actually shooting into it, and they're stuck inside and they don't want to get out because the Germans will shoot them. And then the tide eventually rises and they're sinking in this boat now.
Yep.
And you see them sink, and you see one of the characters drown.
Mm-hmm.
And then later you see two of the boys now swimming towards the civilian boat, or they're out at sea now.
Yeah.
And so that time jump was a bit jarring, and I was like, but how did they get out? If they've escaped the boat, I understand, and then they've swum to a boat out at the sea or something.
Yeah.
I suppose there was a lot of time, like there was supposed to be a week in between there somewhere.
Maybe Christopher Nolan just wanted to tick off the criteria box of it being a Nolan film, and it had to be confusing in terms of timelines in some capacity. So he just did that. He was like, oh, I've got to make this confusing somehow. How am I going to do it?
I just thought
get Tom Hardy in the plane.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit annoying considering the whole issue every single soldier on that beach was having was how the hell do we get off this beach? And the explanation for those two characters was they swam probably.
Yeah. I don't want to spoil for you because you don't know whether this has been received well or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I would just say like people are liking it.
Mm-hmm.
But so it kind of makes me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't necessarily agree that much.
Okay.
I did like it so much, but I thought the first maybe half an hour was really annoying.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, just for me as an audience member, I was annoyed at things that was happening.
Oh, wow.
I was annoyed that the sound was too loud, and I was like, I don't want to go through 2 hours of this, and I did. But I just found myself thinking, oh, so now they're on another boat and there's been an attack, so now they're off it and now they're swimming somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And then, now they're on another boat because they found the other boat, and sometimes the people on the boat are like happy to pick them up and sometimes they're not. Now those bombs have happened and now they're off the boat, so they're swimming again, and now they're back on the pier, and I don't know, I found myself just thinking like, this is actually repetitive. But then once you learn to know the characters and actually progress is being made from these three good boys, that's when it started to pick up. But for the first half hour, you're not getting character development because you don't know who they are. You're not hearing them speak to each other. They're not devising plans. That storyline of those three boys for the first half hour, I was like annoyed at. And
really?
It got better.
Oh, wow.
Because you learned who they were and they were actually getting somewhere.
I think I'm the exact opposite. The moment I saw him come down to the beach and then he met with who was later revealed to be a German, who was disguising himself as an Englishman only so he can leave the war.
Yeah.
I thought the fact that they didn't even speak to each other and then they went on this mission to deliver a fallen soldier to a escape boat.
Yeah.
I thought the whole scene, and even though they didn't speak much, I don't know, I thought the amazing of the rule of show don't tell and
yeah,
don't
of course.
speak. But I thought I don't know, I felt it did develop their characters
from like that, because that bit wasn't repeated 3 or 4 times, that was fine. I liked that as well. But yeah, just from it being like boat jumping to another really loud noise and they're hurting and they're swimming, that was when it's like from the point when they actually did recover that body to the boat, when that boat blew up and then they met Harry Styles for the first time, until maybe when they were on the beach about to get into that boat that was beached.
Yeah.
It was just kind of the same thing over and over. But the bit before that wasn't something that was repeated 3 or 4 times, which was good. I did like that.
Yeah. I mean, I just felt the fact that their plans kept getting foiled, which, you know, it's obviously gonna, because they have to do 2 hours. I know, I felt that it just felt like hell on beach, and especially when Cillian Murphy was saying, please don't go to Dunkirk. Please don't go back there. Look there. What does that look like? Don't go there. It's the worst. And I was like, oh yeah, that place is hell. And that's why every time something kept happening to them, I was just like, this is what it was like. Probably this is just a living hell for these, like, all these really young guys. And I was happy Nolan cast like really young looking people.
Yeah.
They weren't these buff people that were calling 17 or calling 18. They looked really young.
Let's do a score and a trailer score.
Yep.
You start, please.
I was incredibly pleased with the movie. Glad I didn't watch definitely that extended trailer. I didn't. The first trailer that was released was, I would say, pretty good. There were a couple things in it, such as in the trailer they had an inside of a boat and someone shouted torpedo and then it blew up. In the movie, you just see this thing in the water coming towards, someone shouts torpedo, but you don't see it impact, and then the camera goes inside the boat, and then it all
looked like a snake.
So did you know that, by the way, that boat was gonna get torpedoed? Did you remember that from the trailers, that a torpedo would go off?
Yes. But I was surprised to see the actual shot from it being outside.
Okay.
But
right.
yeah, because I think in the trailer as well, they made it look less brutal than what it did. Because I remember being quite like, oh my god, like, even though I knew that torpedo was coming and it looked like a snake.
Yeah, it did.
But it still was so loud and like, I still was like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Gave me a heart attack. But yeah, so I did know, but it was different technically still.
Yeah. I would give that first trailer like a distinction, a D. I think if you're going to watch the extended ones, it shows a lot of the other plot lines, even though it doesn't give a lot of the story. So maybe like a C for the other ones. And I'll give the movie a HD. I'm shivering to call it possibly my favorite movie of the year over Baby Driver so far.
Wow.
Which I know you disagree with, but that's okay. So what do you think?
It's not that I disagree. Like, I understand that it was really excellent, and Nolan did things with the camera that I've never seen before, and just the cinematography, the grit of it, the feel of it was so well done. But yeah, because I didn't know whether it was going to get more interesting than what the first half hour was to me. I was just like, please don't let this just be 2 hours worth of them boat hopping, which kind of it did become that, but it was more and more interesting once you realize and understand who the fighter, like who the pilot is, and who the person driving the boat towards Dunkirk is. So I eventually started to care and really started to enjoy it. So for the 75% of the film. Yeah. So I'll give it a can I give like D pluses?
High D.
Yeah, but I don't want to say high D because that literally stands for high distinction.
True. Okay, D plus then.
I'll give both the movie and the trailers D pluses.
Okay.
Again with the trailers, that's just because, I mean, well, actually, I might even want to give it a HD because it didn't spoil too much.
Okay.
It got me incredibly excited for it. And I was finding, like, even though there were shots that were in the trailer, like with the torpedo, that was presented differently in the film. So that's really all you need to. If a movie is good, then it shows off the best bits of it without showing too much of it, and that's what happened. So, high distinction for the trailer.
Yeah, it just felt
a distinction plus for the movie.
Yeah, the whole movie just felt like you're just watching this happen. No one's talking to the viewer about anything. You're just watching what happened happen again.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
Man, I feel like I'm gonna regret all that. Like I was when I was actually sitting there watching it, I was bored at bits.
Okay.
Not bored because it's so loud and you can't be bored, but just
Maybe
I know I'm going to regret saying that. I understand that the characters were great. I understand that the location, I understand that the timelines was interesting and it was satisfying when they all started to come together. It was satisfying when they were off the island. It was satisfying when everyone was cheering.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all excellent. It's all fucking audio motifs. I love them.
Yeah.
And if there was a ticking clock throughout the entire movie, then that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna regret giving that a distinction plus, but I can't sell myself. Like, I have to give myself the respect I deserve and put my thought onto the podcast. And that thought was at half an hour in, thinking, I'm just disappointed in this so far.
Okay.
Don't let it be this. But because it changed to it not being that, then that's why it ended up being like, if you get a distinction plus in an assignment in the university that we go to, you're happy with that, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm sure happy.
Yeah, but people are calling it a masterpiece and giving it 5 stars. Is it that?
I would call it that, but
I don't know. Like, I understand why it can be conceived as that, but I had that feeling of this is annoying me at the moment.
It's possible, it's okay not to like a film. It's possible you just don't, it's just not your thing.
No, it makes me think I'm dumb.
No, it does. It's not. Like, I mean, I like history more than you. I know about...
Nerd.
Yeah. I mean, I know about World War II more than you do.
You do.
It's possible you just don't like it. You don't like the subject
But I did. I really liked it. I really liked it.
Yeah, okay.
And Harry Styles was good. And I love Harry Styles.
It's okay not to like something, buddy.
I like it.
You can say you hate it.
No, I'll
All right,
never.
you heard it here first. Scott really didn't like Dunkirk.
Ollie, let's play The Fruit is Acute.
The Fruit is Acute definitely today because I'm going to get them all bloody right.
Would you like to explain what The Fruit is Acute is?
You give me 5 or so Rotten Tomato scores.
Yep, it's 5
Sorry,
today.
you tell me movies, and I got to guess the Rotten Tomato score within 5%. And if I'm not, I'm a big silly. And if I do, I own the show.
Oh, okay. So next week you can sit behind the presenter's desk?
Yeah, no, yeah. I just own the show, and I'm in charge of all monetization, and all the proceeds go to me.
There will be literally no change. Let's start off. Let's see if you can get the theme that is happening in these Fruit is Acute.
Okay.
I wonder if you can get it from this first one. What did The Dark Knight get?
Oh, The Dark Knight got, I'm going to say, 95.
Oh, yeah. You'd be bloody...
Hey.
Correct. Hey, you bloody hell, you did it. It's 94.
Nice.
See, I was surprised to see only a couple of days ago that The Dark Knight was that big.
Oh.
In fact, one of the some movie reviewing website had it as their number 3 top movie of all time, behind like The Godfather and something else.
It's super popular.
I know. Well, I know it's popular, Ollie, but I didn't know it was considered a masterpiece.
Yep, definitely it is. I'm guessing your other films are going to be maybe Nolan's.
Oh, we will just wait and see.
Well, let's have a look.
What did The Prestige get? The joke there is, ladies and gentlemen, that is also a Christopher Nolan film. What did The Prestige get?
Oh,
It's not one of his better ones. He's not like well known, I suppose.
Well, not as well known.
Even
Still very, very
the
good.
trailers for Dunkirk had like from the guy that brought you Interstellar.
Yeah.
And The Dark Knights.
Yeah.
And the other one.
Say it got maybe like 85.
You idiot.
No.
No, it got 76.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's that low. What an absolute failure of a director, I think.
Yeah, that's terrible. Nah, The Prestige was amazing, but go on.
So now that we've had this discussion, various different viewpoints on this film.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the score is for Dunkirk?
I reckon it's 90 above.
90 above what?
Jesus, your jokes, your comedy, your Scott stand-up comedy, Martin. You're really making the crowd lol here. Let's go with 96. Hey.
Yeah, 92%.
Ah, okay.
I had to count my fingers then to see if that
Are
was...
you telling me Dunkirk is less than Spider-Man Homecoming?
Well, there might have been updates. Let me have a quick look. Yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming's got 93%.
And it's understandable. I guess Marvel movies please more than a war film.
Yep. Spider-Man's just a better movie. Let's move on. No, I probably won't believe that in 2 weeks. All right, what do you think my next one's going to be?
Probably Inception.
Okay. What did One Direction's documentary This Is Us get?
Oh, God. Can I say, I think it's maybe like 61.
Fuck it. Yeah.
Wow.
It was 63.
Oh, yes.
I can't believe that you didn't even second guess that.
No, I remember seeing that film.
No, we never saw it.
We definitely saw it. We definitely saw it
No,
in the cinema. We're big One Direction fans here at Ignorance Is This podcast.
Recurring guest/host Grace was also there with us.
Yeah, because...
Nah, there's no reason why. She's a big fan of the styles, as of both of us.
Yeah.
And finally, because I stick to 5 here. What did the see? We're changing this from Rotten Tomatoes. I'm sorry, but there isn't a Rotten Tomatoes score for this.
Oh wow!
So let's change it to within. Try to get within 1 because the rating is out of 10.
Okay.
So 1 up
Within
or below.
1.
Of it's in the IMDb rating, so there's a frigging clue
Yeah.
for what it's gonna be.
6 to 7, right?
The One Direction starred iCarly episode I Go One Direction.
What the hell?
I was just thinking of things that Harry Styles has acted in.
Yeah, wow, it took a really big turn. Boy, I would have not a clue where to start, but if IMDb is anything to go from, we can say it's like maybe 7.
It's 7.5.
Hey!
Yay!
Very nice.
It's an episode of iCarly and it's gotten a higher rating than pretty much any of the movies that you know and love. God, I hate that website.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good track record for not only Christopher Nolan, but also Harry Styles. He's never gotten below 63%.
I love that, yeah. Okay, well...
See, isn't it funny that Dunkirk is considered a masterpiece and it's starring Harry Styles?
Yeah.
Isn't that just a testament that he did well enough that people are saying this will go down in history?
Yeah, it is early to call it a masterpiece. I don't know how early you're allowed to call something a
No,
masterpiece.
if you type in the word Dunkirk at the moment, the top reviewing things are saying, I think it was the West Australian or something posted an article a couple hours ago that said Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk is a 5-star masterpiece.
Excellent.
Sure.
I love when people just make bold claims right from the get-go.
Yeah. Well, let's discuss what we're going to be talking about next week.
Yeah, next week we're not going to be going to the cinema.
No, we are running out of money.
Running out of films that we want to go to the cinema for. We don't want to see Despicable Me 3.
Oh, well, for half of us, maybe not want to go see it. No, I'm not involved. I liked the first one, though. I actually thought it was
we won't
quite
be
fun.
paying money to Sony to see the Emoji Movie. As fun as it might be to trash it,
Yeah.
I just don't give money to them in the first place. That's the best way to say nope.
I couldn't get through the trailer when I
Wow.
was watching it. I turned it
wow.
off. I actually hated it. So what are we going to be
We
discussing?
are going to be watching.
I don't know what this is yet, so...
That's the drum roll and then my sound. Reservoir Dogs.
Yay!
You finally get it to watch it.
My favourite movie that I haven't seen yet.
I asked you, I quizzed you on things you know about a couple of Tarantino films, a couple other films.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, you didn't know, you probably knew less about Reservoir Dogs than most of the films. So that's what I'm going to give you.
Yeah,
You
cool.
don't know much about it. You know very little.
Many months ago, I'd say upwards of a year, maybe 12 months ago, as a YouTuber, I don't even know who it is anymore, they uploaded a video called Tarantino's Shot Stolen or Homage about Reservoir Dogs. And I've had it on my watch later list. It is the first thing on my watch later list. It's been sitting there for a year because I don't want to spoil myself for the actual movie. This entire podcast has been based around you convincing me enough to finally get around to watching that so I can tick it off my freaking watch later list.
Excellent. Well, you're finally going to get to.
Yep.
We'll talk about.
I love a Tarantino.
Your ignorance in not knowing anything about Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, I'm a big idiot. All I know is
Haven't
something...
even seen most Tarantino films, mostly. You've seen Django, you've seen Hateful Eight. Is that right? Is that
Yep.
it?
He did one recently again, hadn't he?
No, that's
that-
it. Hateful
oh.
Eight was his recent one.
Wow, is that all?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Django and his Heath Ledger are the most two recent. that
Yeah, I
he's
know,
done.
but like, is that all I've seen?
His next film is going to be about the Manson family.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah, and it's going to have, I think it's Brad Pitt and I think maybe Jennifer Lawrence. It's
Okay.
interesting. It's an interesting
Alright.
cast.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that so far.
He always has weird like
Yeah, he
actors
does.
in his things though.
Yeah.
Like he had Mike Myers in Inglourious Bastards. That's a fun fact. It's
I
very
re-
shortly, but
That's another thing that I really do want to
Yeah.
get around to watching. Okay.
okay.
Let's plug.
Yeah, plug it.
Let's put a plug in this old podcast by talking about ways that you can get in contact with us.
Yep.
If you would like to get in contact via email, ignoranceisthispodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to shoot us a message on Facebook or just like the page and share our shit, you can go to facebook.com/ignoranceisthispodcast as well. It's very simple, isn't it, Ollie?
Very simple, very easy process.
And yet I have to double check every week. Because I'm worried I will mess it up.
All right. Well, another great episode of Ignorance Is This. Down the hatch. Let's end it as we like to do in recent times.
I'd love to hear what you've got up your sleeves.
With a haiku about the film we watched recently. So we watched Dunkirk. Just a simple one here. I'm a bit concerned with Nolan's covering Tom Hardy's mouth fetish. That's it. Goodbye.